Hey, I wanted to talk to you today about 3 steps for successful demand generation. In our experience, companies usually are not actually doing all 3 of them, but yet all 3 are fundamentally important for a really holistic and effective demand generation program. So the 3 steps are creating demand, capturing demand, and growing demand. So let's break those down real quick. So on the create demand space, this really is getting to people before they're even in market. There's a lot of technology that can help us understand, when a list of people, when people have intent or when they're in market because of what they're actively searching for. But when we spend our time focusing on them, that's actually in the capture demand space. So let's talk about what does it mean to create demand, because that's one of the first and very often missing things from marketing plans. So this is getting to people. First of all, you have to really understand your customer. So marketing forever, we've talked about customer strategy, knowing your customer, being customer first, customer centric, and all of that. But this is really when you get to flex those muscles and say, do I know my customer? Do I understand the situations they're in? Do I understand what moves them? Do I understand, what their needs are? So you put that in a bucket, and then you look at your own business and you look at what is the value proposition that you bring to the table. How can you uniquely position your product and what you do so that you can effectively own the space that you're in? You can have very meaningful conversations with your customers because you know them so well, and you can start to educate them and ultimately influence when they become in market and what happens when they become in market, that they think of you as a solution. So some of the key focuses and marketing tactics, if you will, in the create demand space are really customer strategy. Creative is super important. You use those, you build a nice content plan, content strategy to be doing this communication. And then you look at your media channels for distribution, which are going to primarily be your social channels where your audience is. So that is in the create demand space. And our goal is that we have educated them, they have gained trust with us to the point where when they're in market, they go straight to us. So in the capture demand space, which is actually where we find that marketing teams spend the majority of their budgets and their dollars, it is important to play here. However, if you haven't been on the upfront of it, once you're in the capture demand space and once somebody's in market, you can get in front of them still, but it's just going to be a lot more costly, and your ability to win that sale, the percentage goes down very significantly if they're not coming into it already knowing you. So you're really duking it out with your customers at that point. And a lot of times at that point, it comes down to price, it comes down to convenience. Maybe the salesperson they were talking to just happened to say the right thing at the same time. They went to the same college, whatever. But your ability to control and the predictability of winning that business diminishes if we haven't been on the front. Okay. So we need to be on the front, but then we also do need to be positioned well in the capture space. Once they're in market, we need to pay off that experience from a digital standpoint, so that we're giving them what they have built up in their head and what they understand. We're paying off that experience seamlessly. We need to make sure that we are there, we're easy to find, we're easy to close, and that is capture demand. So a lot of your services in this space, you're going to be looking at paid search with very high intent keywords. You're going to be looking at SEO with very optimized content. If you have local business locations, you're going to be looking at Google Business Profile, all these things, so that when people are looking for you, they can absolutely find you and they don't get distracted, right? And then they get to your website, and you're paying off with a very easy experience for them. So create demand, capture demand, and then the third part is to grow demand. So when you're building building customer relationships, depending on what you do, but very often there's opportunities to continue to grow that, the customer value with you, be that an individual, direct to consumer customer, and there's other products that they can continue to buy from you, or maybe a product that they need to continue to repeat purchase from you. Or if you're working with accounts, then there's ways to spread across the organization and continue to grow your relationship with them. So there's those pieces of it that are very important within the growing your customer value over time, growing the customer loyalty over time, but then really also learning from your customers. So, why did they come to you? Why are they staying? What products are benefiting them the most and why? And you can really use this as a platform for learning so that you can circle back into your create demand space for extra learning, and just make the whole thing grow scalable and efficient. So kind of summarizing up, the three things you need in your demand generation strategy would be create, capture, and grow your demands. The last part in there is really making sure that you have an aligned reporting system that you're aligned with the executive team on and internally, and is tracking each of those three things in appropriate metrics to support the objectives in each one of those, which we'll get into in another conversation as well. But create, capture, grow, those are the three steps in your demand generation program.